12 days, maybe more, of not making any live streams. Actually, it's more than that, longer than that. But now we're back with everyday live streams as the crypto markets are getting a lot exciting. As you can see, the bloodbath on my right side of the screen here. So much going on. And starting today, we are launching the Millionaire Trading Series, where I trade every day and we'll be covering the news of what's going on in the cryptocurrency market. And this is going to be free for everyone to watch, even if you're just an observer of the market or an active trader, or if you have never even traded before. This might be an opportunity to actually get started with us and join the club. So today we'll be covering a lot of things, especially answering the most important question out there. That is the Bitcoin price prediction for 2024, because there's a lot going on in the markets as we speak. We have the SEC fighting crypto and the US losing its grip on the world. And we also have the Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock, among other firms, jumping onto the Bitcoin bandwagon, probably because they can sense that this thing is unstoppable, and several other factors. So today we'll be looking at all that stuff and figuring out where Bitcoin could be based on data. These are not my opinions really. I will be looking at different types of information, and then we can come up with a much more sound projection and strategy on how to profit off the entire market, because I mean the movements are crazy. Just look at this. This is Bitcoin at a 1 minute. It's basically choppy as hell. And it's a dogfight right now between the bulls and the bears. I can come onto CoinGlass, as you can see here, the same, right? The volumes, some of them doubling over 24 hours, some of them halving. So it's definitely insane what's going on. So let's get to it. Number one, we will start with some news. And by the way, anyway, let's get into the news first. But you guys know the rules of my live streams. If you're watching, you have to smash the like button immediately. Smash it until it breaks, because that is how we tell the YouTube algorithms that we want to see more of this content. So smash the like button. Every single like, I do one push-up for you guys. And if you want to see proof, you can see on my Instagram right now. All right, so let's first look into what's going on in the news over the week. We have seen a lot of things, but the most important one is that the SEC decided to delay the spot Bitcoin ETF decision for BlackRock, Invesco, and Bitwise. And this is basically the summary. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has delayed its decision on several proposals for spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds ETFs, including BlackRock, ahead of an anticipated government shutdown. So you guys may know that the US is going through another shit show over there. So they're saying that, look, because of the shutdown, the Bitcoin the decision might be delayed, which is strange to me that it's taking them too long to approve a Bitcoin ETF for spot, but it was really easy for them to accept the derivatives, the futures ETF for Bitcoin. I guess because this one is going to lead to real institutions buying the Bitcoin, because with the derivatives, a lot of institutions are still regulated against buying those ones, because for obvious reasons, it's derivatives, high risk, leverage, and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes, but I do believe that this is the end of the line. They cannot push this any further. They have been looking for reasons to do it, but they have to approve it. And we also saw this week Gary Gensler. He was he was answering to the officials, the chairman in the US, and this is how it went down. They asked him whether Bitcoin is a security or not. So Gary went out and said Bitcoin is not a security, and they asked him whether it's a commodity. He still could not admit that it is a commodity. And you guys might think that that is a very simple thing, but that is huge. It means a lot that if Gary, the chairman of the SEC, is seen admitting that Bitcoin the is actually not a security, it's a commodity, that is going to be a big deal. So let's watch
But
it.
your view on Bitcoin, you've made comments on this. You believe Bitcoin is not a security. Is that true?
Well, I think the staff of the SEC have also, and the prior
Well, I'm
chair.
just asking you this question, and this is not a gotcha. I thought this was going to be an easy softball into harder questions. Do you think Bitcoin is a security?
I think I've said this in the past that I think that it doesn't
I'm asking you
meet the
to
Howey
answer
test.
my question now. This is not supposed to be hard.
I know. I said it
Just
does
to
not
answer-
meet the Howey test, which is the
Okay.
law of the land about being an
So
investment
it doesn't meet the
contract or
Howey test.
security.
So therefore, it's a commodity. Is that fair?
So
I
Chairman
would
McHenry
say it's
thinks that it's obvious that if it's not a security, then it is a commodity. But Gary does not want to admit that. So that was that. And we have seen some other news coming out saying the SEC is considering Bitcoin ETF, but then Gary says the shutdown will cause a delay. So this is just a matter of time, and I'm still bullish on Bitcoin right now. Another piece of news that's interesting, Three Arrows Capital, the founder has been arrested in Singapore. So this is Suzu. You guys, if you've been following me for a long time, you know this story. Last year, when Luna collapsed, one other investment firm, hedge fund, collapsed with it, and that was Three Arrows Capital. Basically, what these guys were doing, they were working with Luna and other, allegedly at least, and other firms that were printing money in crypto and then taking big leverage positions. And when things started to collapse, they were trying to help each other out by taking weird positions to make sure that they do not create a catastrophe in the market. And that didn't work. Obviously, they ran out of money, they got liquidated, and they lost all the investors' money. And there is this guy who was based in Singapore now. And the other guy has been in I think in the Middle East, Davis, and Davis has been posting actively on Instagram and Twitter, but now he quit. But this guy, Suzu, who was the actual founder, has now been arrested in Singapore at the airport. So there you go. One more scammer out of the market makes the market a little bit healthy. And I'm sure the other guy, Davis, also will be arrested. And this guy has now been sentenced um, to prison apparently for 4 months. So we'll see how that goes. And moving on with trades of the week, and before we get into the actual subject for today. So we made some exciting trades this week, and if you're not a trader, it might be difficult for you to follow along with this. This is what you can do. For you to follow this series, you need to have a trading account. And below the description of this video, I have provided links to platforms that I use to trade and platforms that I use to analyze data and stuff like that. So if you want to trade, create a Bybit account. Link is in the description. If you use my link there, you get a lot of benefits. You can either use the invite code, GREATBTC, or just use the link. You get up to $3,000 welcome bonus. Or if it doesn't work in your country, you can also use OKX, an incredible platform. If you're in the US, you can use BingX. Link is also in the description because some of the biggest crypto platforms don't work in the US because the US sucks now when it comes to crypto. But it is what it is. So if you want to follow along, create an account on those platforms, and then you can take some trades if you want to. But it's never financial advice, just so that you know. So trades of the week. The trade that I'm mostly proud of this week is certainly this one. WS Wall Street Markets, USDT. Wall Street means, not Wall Street Markets. So this one listed on OKX a couple of days ago. And for those of you guys who are in my alpha group, I shared this trade just a few hours when it got lit. Oh my gosh, it has already doubled again. I posted this in my Discord alpha group, and also for those of you who are in my trading bootcamp when it just came out. And when I told you that I was selling, it had doubled. So it doubled basically within a few hours a few days ago. So congratulations to everybody who made money on this one. It was a high risk trade, but it worked out. And we actually got out of it early because it has doubled again since then. So it is quite insane. Another crazy trade that I am terrified about still is this one. So TRB, I got liquidated on this trade because I was too confident about the short, and I also shared it. And if you didn't have any stop loss like myself, you got liquidated at above 60. So I got liquidated at 60 bucks, even though it retraced and even revisited my take profit levels, but I still got liquidated early. So that was quite insane. I think there's still a big opportunity to short this coin here, but it's a matter of when, because their funding rate is so good, but also the market makers know that there's a lot of shorts, so they just keep pumping it to liquidate everybody. Anyway, let's get back to the subject of this video quickly, and we go straight to Bitcoin price. Now, I'll first just give you a quick overview of the macroeconomic landscape right now, where it looks like. So in the US, the inflation rate is starting to increase. Here on this little chart, you're looking at a monthly chart of the US inflation rate, and it has been decreasing since July 2022, every month up until July 2023. And then we have seen a steady rise onto that. Currently, we're sitting at 3.7%. Okay, and that is concerning. And then we also have the interest rates currently at 5.5%. And on the other side, we have the Federal Reserve balance sheet right here in the decline for a long time. But we do know, if I zoom in on the interest rate, for the last 30 days, we have experienced a flat rate because the Feds didn't increase rates anymore. Now, if you don't understand the correlation between these things, is that Bitcoin is a risk-on asset that gains whenever there is more money into the supply, or the balance sheet is being pumped. So currently, there have been a decrease of money. Money has been really difficult to get because of the high interest rate over here, and it has also been more money has been taken out of the supply by the Federal Reserve. And as a consequence of that, over time, we have to see a bounce back of this, and that's what everybody is speculating on. So when we talk about Bitcoin going up again, this is one of the major factors, right? Because if you go back on the Bitcoin's price, I'll switch this over to a month or so. And this might sound boring and doesn't sound like trading, but basically, these are the type of things you have to pay attention to if you want to trade seriously. Because if you do, it's easier to make decisions, right? You don't want to just jump into the market and start touching buttons you shouldn't. So you can have a look here. When the balance sheet was pumping, the Bitcoin price was also pumping. So there is a reflexive relationship between these two. And when we've seen the balance sheet declining, we have also seen the Bitcoin price declining. And when this number starts going down, you will see this number start going up. So there is a process that that is kind of some deviates, some are correlated. So you have to pay extreme attention to that. And the US dollar has been gaining for a little bit, has been bullish, and we do expect it to drop. Now comes back the stock market, which is also highly correlated to Bitcoin risk on assets. But I covered this before with my bootcamp students, that if you look at the long-term, I also talked about this in my last lecture. If you look at the long-term overview of the stock market, like the S&P 500, it only goes up over time with a few minor bumps in a few years. But if you want to protect your capital, it will be really smarter for you to just buy the S&P 500 over time pumps. Now, Bitcoin is much more stronger than that because of its design and nature. So that's why we consider Bitcoin sound money, right? Just like gold, you can also have a look at that. But definitely, one is deflationary, the other one isn't. So to finish this up, now looking at all these factors and elements, everything looks really geared up for Bitcoin to pump anytime soon, especially when you consider the Bitcoin halving. This is, to me, by far the most interesting. Besides the ETF, the Bitcoin halving is the most important as well, because if the ETF is going to bring trillion-dollar players like BlackRock and several other institutions into Bitcoin, they need to buy the Bitcoin from the market. The Bitcoin from the market is emitted from mining. Now, you can look at this chart I'm showing you now. Every 4 years, or every 250,000 blocks, Bitcoin's supply is halving. And you can also see with a price movement here, after every halving, we have seen a massive rally going through. And we are on a third halving, and now expecting the fourth halving, which is going to lower the emission rate of Bitcoin by 50%. Now, that combines with the ETF approval. I mean, this is going to be, I think, the biggest bull market ever for Bitcoin. And if you also consider that the US is having elections very soon, and there's a lot of chaos in the world politically, how that correlated, or I mean, how that works together, you should read this book by Ray Dalio that I'm reading right now. It's called, let me just look it up quick. Principles of Dealing with the Changing World Order. Let me just type it down for you guys. Principles of Dealing, Ray Dalio. This book could help you understand the relationships, especially for macroeconomics, how politics affects money and money affects politics itself, and then how the way people work with each other, like trade and conflict, affects markets as well. Which, if you combine this with George Soros' reflexivity, it will really give you a very much in-depth understanding of where the direction of the world might go. So I would say you guys read this, check it out. And looking at all these things, I think it's much wiser for, if you're trading, to have some long positions on Bitcoin. There is still potential of like volatility. Bitcoin could crash massively, especially if you have massive players coming into the market trying to trade or to buy in. What they do, they like to crash the market so that they can buy lower, and they make deals with market makers to take the market down. So just even if we see a little bit of a crash, you still can believe that the market is still set to go bullish in the long run. Now, considering here, if you look at the price movements here, right? From the first halving took us all the way to 1K, and then the second halving took us to about 20K, and then the third halving we went, over and above. In 2020, after 2020, we went over 20K, and then all the way until 60K. So I can see that Bitcoin could easily go to over $150,000 if all these ingredients combine and come together. I can see Bitcoin going up to all the way up to the high prices. So let's have a look at that on the Bitcoin chart quick. This is what I'm expecting. And because we're currently in an environment where we're not in the all-time high, at least, the question is whether someone should do dollar cost averaging. I think right now dollar cost averaging is inferior to just epping in and relax. And then you still need to have money on the side to be buying the dips when they happen, because they will happen, right? And then as for the traders, it's just a matter of volatility. You can have enough volatility to trade with. So we are expecting a move such as this. Okay, and as a degenerate, on a Bitcoin move, I put no stop loss on a Bitcoin alone. I'm expecting over 150K Bitcoin alone, and that is like 4x where we at now. And this is Bitcoin, can go 4x. What about the altcoins? You're looking at 20, 30x if you are holding good coins in your portfolio, and the markets could go insane. And when I was in Singapore, I discovered that there might be another new potential pandemic that could happen, because people are starting to wear masks again. Everybody's sick and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that's happening, but something to give thought, because that's how the previous one started also on the low. All right. So for traders, the plan right now, I'm personally long on a lot of this stuff. There are certain projects that I want to buy that I'm bullish on, like Ton Coin and WorldCoin, that I'm dollar cost averaging because they're already too high, and I think they'll have a slammer, a decline massively before they start going up. If you didn't buy the dip when it hit $1 or something, then now it's too late, I think, in the short term, right? So I'm starting to accumulate these again when they dip. And if you were buying around those prices, you have doubled your money already, because it's almost $2 if you have leverage, even more. And I'm also looking at some shorts on things like TRB. All right. So I'll put a Telegram link below where I'll be sharing some signals using my Natras pool of trades that some of you guys can follow. So make sure you keep a look at that. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. I just wanted to give you an overview of what's going on and a Bitcoin price prediction based on the current data that we have. We have never seen institutions have entered the space, but not in the way that they have right now. BlackRock is a massive trillion-dollar company, and Grayscale, they're trying to convert the GBTC into a Bitcoin ETF. That's big. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and all over social media. I'll see you guys next time.